This is Focus on Kenya. Thanks for joining us. My name is Rose Peter Graham. We are here today with the High Commissioner of Kenya to the Court of St. James, Great Britain, His Excellency Monoa Esipisu. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
Let us start with how you got into this office, even though you have been in the United Kingdom for some years and with the Commonwealth Secretariat and a spokesperson for Kenya. How did you get into this office?
I was a spokesperson at the Commonwealth for a bit, being one of the senior Africans there at the time. I then went and served at the African Development Bank as a public affairs advisor to the president of the bank. And then I returned home to be spokesperson to my president, a job I did previous to being appointed High Commissioner to Britain. So it's a position in which I've always engaged publicly. I've always supported and spoken for the causes that I have been asked to do so. Yes. And it's one in which I could say was naturally leading to this type of public engagement, because I've been in the public sphere for most of my life now. And so when I think this vacancy became open, the president looked at the assets he had and decided he would appoint me to this one.
No doubt your experiences have prepared you for this role.
Yes, they have. As I say, being in a position in which you are always in the public space, you are always speaking for the causes that you trust and believe in. You are always having to market these causes. So it brings you to a point where you are really prepared to continue to do what you have to do for the sake of your country. And I think because I was here for 6 years working at the Commonwealth, so I have a knowledge of the bureaucracy, of the politics. If we were looking to engage Britain going forward, then I think I would consider myself better prepared than most people for this type of engagement. And really right now we are focused on what our president has described as the Big Four. So those are the four specific priority areas that he's looking at to accelerate the development of our country in the period that he remains in office, and for us Kenyans to look to build from that time. So affordable housing. Housing has always been a critical issue for us. The president has outlined a plan to build 500,000 new affordable homes in the remaining 3 to 3.5 years that he is in office. Building the homes is not itself, it's itself a big goal, but it's not the only goal. If you build 500,000 homes, it means that you create jobs for artisans who are gonna make the doughs, the masons, people like that. You look to get the furniture done for these homes. And the message the president has sent out is that we're not going to import those things. You need to do a large chunk of this building infrastructure. back at home, which means local jobs. The president wants to increase the percentage of manufacturing as a percentage of GDP from 9% to 15%. Our focus at the moment is building industrial parks that take in textiles, apparels, leather, things like that, agro-processing, so that we are working to increase jobs. Our target has always been 1 million jobs, from about half that number. And if you then increase your manufacturing bit as a percentage of GDP, it does mean that you're doing a bit in terms of that. The two other remaining areas is food security, and to ensure food security, it means that you're doing a little more value add to the things that we do. So our coffee, our tea, our fresh produce, our flowers, what value addition are we doing that to increase? We export apparels to the US, about $500 million worth of apparels, designer clothes and stuff like that. However, the raw materials for this comes from East Asia, so China, Thailand, Vietnam.
So you get them from Asia?
Yeah, we're getting the raw material, stitch, export. So if we are growing the cotton ourselves,
yes,
our ginneries are then processing it, then it's going to our textile companies, then it's going to our factories for stitching. We would retain up to 80 to 90% of that money rather than export half of the earnings. That value add is necessary for us to be able to build the country and the society we are looking to build.
Kenya is really big on investments, and it's like you open your doors for a lot of foreign investment. Like for a layman, how do they go about investing in Kenya?
Actually very easy, because we have worked over the last 5-6 years to really streamline the processes. The ease of doing business index that is given by the World Bank, for instance, shows that we have improved from position 136 in the world in 2013 to position 61 last year, and we are looking to go under 50. Why has this happened? Because number one, you get your licensing processes streamlined, so people looking to invest in Kenya can go to KenInvest, our government investment advisory agency. You have a one-stop service there. If you need whatever license, they are able to tell you. If whatever industries you are looking to invest in, they are able to give you a list of potential investment areas. If you're looking at your foreign exchange issues, they are able to give you the detail. And so it's fairly straightforward now. In terms of foreigners being able to take back their money, which is always the biggest thing. Yes. If you invest in a country, can you take out your profits? We have a completely liberalized foreign exchange regime. Whatever it is that you want to get out, you can get out. We don't have a problem with that type of thing. Yes. And our rules around participation by foreigners are quite straightforward. We know that 40% of your inputs need to be local material. So if you're meeting the criteria, you should be okay. But before you start investing, this criteria is open to you. So you're able to research and see, where am I going to find these raw materials to be able to meet the quota that I need to meet to participate in this investment.
Talking about tax incentives and treaties?
We do not try to give people tax incentives. We try to give people an even opportunity to invest. So you know that you are not going to have any hidden costs when you come to Kenya. There's no point giving you a tax incentive and then taking it away by hidden costs. We tell you, this is what you're going to find, that's what you're going to find, and you're open to invest in that. What we try to do is remove double taxation. Yes. So we don't want you taxed in Britain and then you get taxed in Kenya as well, or be taxed in France and be taxed in Kenya as well. Well, we trade with everyone. We trade with East, we trade with West, we trade with Africa, we trade with the Caribbean.
Yes.
If you look at our biggest trading partners, Uganda, Tanzania, those are our biggest trading partners. Yeah, those are our neighbors. We are the biggest investor in Rwanda, for instance. We have solid investments in South Sudan, in Ethiopia, in Burundi. These are countries that for us in Kenya, East Africa is such a big deal. Yeah, those are the people we consider our frontline in terms of our investment engagement. They invest in our country, we invest in their countries. They are our biggest partners.
I like that. So what's your relationship with Nigeria?
Nigeria, we've been working very hard to get some things going. And this has happened since the days of President Goodluck Jonathan. You remember our president came to Nigeria at the time. Yes. President Buhari has come to Nairobi, and I think these engagements continue. We were looking at areas of cooperation. You know, we are a new producer of oil, so we're looking to get lessons from what others have done, Nigeria included. You know that if you look around a day like Valentine's Day and the roses being given around the world, most of them come from our country.
I know, I saw that in Kenya. So the packaging and everything else when I visited Nairobi.
We spread this love around the country and around the world. And we've been asking Nigeria, for instance, our flowers that you find in Abuja would have come from the Amsterdam auction. It is possible that we can deal directly with Nigeria at a lower cost.
So what, did you have to go to Amsterdam and down back to Nigeria? The flowers?
Because the auction system has always worked like that way. The flowers go to Amsterdam. That's where the world's biggest auction is. Okay. However, we are asking countries like Nigeria, we can talk about how this can be done directly because it reduces the cost to the buyer and it increases the profit to the grower. Yes. And these are important things for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, when you think tourism in Africa, the first place that comes to your mind is Kenya. Before then you think of maybe some other nation, maybe South Africa. And so, but then some people are complaining that tourism in Kenya is getting really expensive.
Travel is really a consequence of what you want to do, where you want to be, how you feel about going to places.
Yes.
The global dynamics are really determined by the dollar strength. It's how your currency is placed against the dollar that determines really how expensive a destination is going to be.
Brexit. What benefits would this create for Kenya? Or would Kenya explore and deal with the new opportunities and challenges that Brexit has to offer?
For us, it's a big opportunity. We don't stand in a place in which we say, hey, what the heck is going to happen? That's not our worry. Our worry is once you make a decision, we look at what the opportunity is for us. And I think for Kenya, we are looking to first to maintain the same regime we have with the EU, so we continue exporting into the United Kingdom under the same terms. And secondly, we look to build into an agreement, a strategic agreement, in which our whole relationship with Britain is redefined. We are going to be in a position where we can say, well, we are here, we have always stood by you. It's now an opportunity to build that, make it stronger, and so that the people of Kenya and the people of the United Kingdom can look at this partnership and say, we have always been together, and we will emerge from this stronger.
Kenya has a beautiful wildlife, but they still, one time or the other, we see the part of the ivory market and how the animals suffer and and die. It's always really painful to wildlife lovers. I would like to know what the government is doing to reduce, this thing from happening.
Well, poaching is always a challenge, and poaching, there's two elements of note. One is the consistent hunt for elephant tusks, and the second one is the hunt for the rhino horn.
Yes.
For whatever reasons. And the conference of CITES has just ended, at which we continue to advocate
Yes.
for the ban in ivory trade. A ban in ivory trade has the effect of limiting the value of the ivory and therefore reducing the need to hunt for these animals. We have in Kenya the Kenya Wildlife Service and the regular police. They do regular patrols. They have sophisticated tracking equipment. They use drones in wildlife areas, in wildlife parks, to track animals and to track poachers. And we can say that we are registering great numbers in terms of success. Obviously, people get to see a little more about the animals that are killed, and they tend to see a little less about the ones that were saved. But the point is that we are doing quite a great work in terms of ensuring that our animals are conserved.
Since 1963 that Kenya had our independence, you've had a stable government. How have you been able to manage this?
I think we are a country that believes in the rule of law. We are a country that is built on the foundations of democracy. We have refused to be derailed from this. We have always said that there will be elections every 5 years, and the only way to get to State House is via the ballot. Anyone in our country can be president. So this opportunity is not available just to a few individuals, it's available to everyone. And I think we have always said, look, from wherever you come from, it really doesn't matter. You can put together your party. So I think we have more than 100 political parties in our country. You can barnstorm the country from end to end. And if the Kenyan people decide that they want you to be their leader, then you will be their leader.
Okay, in your own words, how would you rate Kenya, the economy, politics, and every other thing under President Kenyatta?
I think the president has done tremendously well. Let me just give you some numbers. For instance, when the president took office, only about 27% of Kenyans had electricity in their homes. Now that figure is upwards of 60% in 5 years. If you look at our supply of energy in that period, we have been able to bring our country to 80% of our energy is renewable.
Yes.
Yeah, it's solar or it's geothermal, but from renewable sources. We have just opened the Africa's biggest wind farm. It produces 300 megawatts of electricity near Lake Turkana. These are things sometimes that, as I say, you have to go to see. We have had the first year in which transition from primary school to secondary school has been 100%. There are now more girls in our secondary school than there are boys. It does show that the things that matter to this president are getting done. If you look at our infrastructure, we have a new rail from Mombasa to Nairobi to ease travel. I think travel use...
These are recent developments.
5 years, the president's 5 years. So rail transport used to be 8 hours from Mombasa to Nairobi by bus. It's now 4 hours by train. So yeah, there are tangible things to see. The president has been tremendous for our people.
Good.
And clearly this president has not only believed that, but he's also demonstrated that.
But there are massive investments in Kenya. How do they manage with power supply?
I think it's a question of, well, before we had intermittent power cuts, not unlike many countries in Africa. Now we don't. We just simply don't have power cuts.
That's beautiful.
Kenyan people feel that way too. We feel that way. Yeah.
So I want to take you on the investment of China and Japan. China has invested billions of dollars in Africa today. You mentioned food security when we started this interview. I'm wondering, can't Africa be self-sustaining instead of always seeking foreign investment? I know no country is an island.
I think you've got to decide what's good for your people. And in our view, you need to make some steps to get your country forward. And I think we always say you need a first step. And where will that first step come from?
Okay.
So we, in Kenya, we say we welcome both East and West, but we also welcome Africans. If the investment in cement in Kenya would come from Dangote from Nigeria, we'll take it. If it will come from somebody else in another part of Africa, we will take it.
Yes.
But the thing is, you've got to get the country to make the first step and make it in a way that is sustainable. We are in a position where we say we will take investment to build infrastructure, because infrastructure leads to jobs. Therefore, it's helping the money grow. If the money grows, you can lift your people from poverty. So without infrastructure, we can't do this electricity stuff we are talking about.
Yeah.
These things are necessary. I think what you must fight is the propensity by some to think that because you're getting money, this money should go to things
Yes.
that it does not target.
Tell me, what is your expectation of Kenya in the next 5 years?
I think we must continue to build on the trajectory the president has put on the table. If we deliver the growth in manufacturing he's looking for,
Yes.
from 9 to 15%, if we build 500,000 homes, if we achieve universal health care, meaning that every person in Kenya can get medical aid in terms of medical assistance, hospital facilities, treatment, those things are necessary. And if we can be food secure, I think we would have put our country in a place where whoever, whatever, whenever, we are able to say as Kenyans, we are on a path that is not reversible.
Very well. I'm interested in visiting Kenya. What are the 5 things you would quickly tell me to look out for when I come to Kenya? I would love to say 10, but you give me 5.
Well, I think, Nairobi first. It's the Nairobi National Park. It's the only park really that is in a city. So it's right there, your evening drive. You really have to take a ride on the standard gauge railway from Nairobi to Mombasa. If you're in Mombasa, then definitely you must visit our beaches. You have to see the Masai Mara National Reserve for the migration of the wildebeest. It's really...
Yes. That's something I would love to see.
Yeah, it's truly one of the wonders of the world.
Yes.
And you must visit the Rift Valley to Nakuru National Park to look at the flamingos.
Yes,
when
and
they
that
are
one too.
1.5, the pink flamingos, 1.5 million of them in one place at one place.
But has that migration happened this year?
It's actually in the process.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
To myself.
So this is the time. This is the time to go.
I would really love to see See, that is beautiful. That's beautiful. What is your message to diasporans and other stakeholders in Kenya?
Three things: that you can't sit on the touchline. You must participate in building your country. You must look for opportunities to invest. If you don't know where they are, you can speak to us here at the Kenyan embassies abroad, or working with Kenya Invest. We can give you an outline of the investment agencies if you're not available to them. President Kenyatta has worked hard to put us on a path of growth that is necessary to get our country forward. And everything you can do as a Kenyan, you must, to participate in building your country.
I have been speaking with the High Commissioner of Kenya to the Court of St. James, Great Britain, His Excellency Monoa Esipisu. Thank you very much, sir, once again.
Thank you.
And it has been focused on Kenya. My name remains Rose Peter Graham.